Comic Book Savant, episode 409. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode is going to be a spoiler-filled review on Aquaman. And like I stated last episode, I'm catching up on episodes that I was going to push to put out at the end of last year, but decided to step back, take a break, recharge, and so I'm catching up now. So this week will be the spoiler-filled review for Aquaman. Next week will be Bumblebee. And I already did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So yeah, so it'll be Bumblebee next week, and then we're caught up. And around that time, we'll have Glass coming out, which I'm probably going to review, as well as Punisher Season 2 comes out around another week or so. So those reviews will be coming. So it's a lot of different type of reviews, movies, TV, that are going to be coming through on the channel in the next couple of weeks. So just be on the lookout for all that. As always, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. If you like this show and you want to find more comic book related content on the internet, if you go to thecomicspodcast.com, it's a good landing page to find similar shows to this. It's broken down. You can find podcasts literally there, all based on particular publishers, individual characters. You can find different formats of podcasts, single host show like myself, roundtable discussion shows, two host shows. So you have a lot of options to play around with to find more content to consume when it comes to just learning and knowing and gaining knowledge about just comic books in general. It's quite a few, literally like hundreds of podcasts are listed there. I've been affiliated with them since their very inception. And it's a great resource. Even if you're a content creator starting your own podcast, you can always contact the admin of over the site and see about getting your show added to help gain some exposure as well. So if you're a consumer of the content or creator of the content, the Comics Podcast Network is a great place to get involved with to help you on either side of the equation. So it's comicspodcast.com. Go check it out when you have a moment. Last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor for this in every episode, which is InStockTrades.com. They're one of the biggest and best sites you can go to online when you're looking for any type of collected or bound edition. And what I mean by that, if you're looking for manga, if you're looking for oversized issues like Action Comics 1000, Masterworks, Absolute Editions, Epic Collections, any type of bound collection of comics you can pretty much find somewhere through InStockTrades.com. They have discounts ranging from 35%, 42% up to 50% off with their deals of the week that are spotlighted on the homepage. I think they're updated every Tuesday afternoon. If you're a U.S. customer, you place an order of $50 or more, you get free shipping within the U.S. If you happen to be an international customer and you use the service, you don't get that extra bonus or perk, but you still get all the great savings, and they have some of the most competitive international shipping rates around. So you still should come out on the better side if ordering through their saving money on the great discounts they already have. So definitely they're worth checking out. The site is InStockTrades.com. If you check them out or try them, let them know that you heard about them here first on the Comic Book Savant podcast. That always goes a long way in helping me out. Now, with all that out of the way, we're going to talk about Aquaman. Again, if this is a last warning, if you haven't seen the movie yet, pause this. I'm going to have a non-spoiler review on the YouTube channel. That's pretty much what I do now. I'll do a video non-spoiler review and post that on my YouTube channel, and then I do a longer form spoiler-filled review on the podcast. So if you haven't, stop it. You can always come back to this later. Check out the video if you're on the fence, if you haven't seen it. But with the money it's making here, I'm surprised at this point if anyone that listens hasn't seen it yet. But again, had the content ready, still wanted to do it. I know a lot of you guys like to hear my different reviews, so I still thought, even though it's a little late or a lot late, I would still put it out. Same thing for like Bumblebee and so forth. So directed by James Wan. Aquaman is written by Will Beal. Is it Will Beal? Beal? Is that? It looks like Beal. Jeff Johns and James Wan are all credited as the three writers for the movie. The breakdown is as follows. Arthur Curry learns that he is the heir to the underwater kingdom of Atlantis and must step forward to lead his people and to be the hero and be a hero to the world. We have Jason Momoa reprising his role as Arthur Curry / Aquaman. We have Amber Heard back as Mira. We got a glimpse of her in Justice League. We have Nicole Kidman as Queen Atlanta, I think was how they pronounced it. We have William Dafoe as Volko. We have Patrick Wilson as Orm, our Ocean Master. We have Dolph Lundgren as King Nereus. And then we have, I hope I pronounced this correct, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Black Manta. I really enjoyed this movie. For some people, I've heard and seen different things where it's divisive for some people. This movie wasn't for me. It was unabashedly, I can tell me and James Wan are around the same age. He leaned very heavily in this very much felt like action movies that I grew up with in the 80s and early 90s. When action movies were like a huge thing, be it in the movie theater or straight to video releases. My mom, I was always scared. I don't like scary movies. I talk about this all the time. So when other kids my age were into horror, and watching that stuff all the time, I just never had the stomach for it, and I just never liked it or had a desire for it. But my mom made a deal with me. She's like, horror's not your thing. When I used to sneak and watch it, I'd have nightmares forever. So she's like, if you make a deal with me, like if it's action, if it's rated R, whatever, I'll let you watch it. Comedy, rated R. Certain comedies she wouldn't let me watch. A lot of times she would have to watch it first. Some others she was cool with. She wouldn't let me see anything too racy when it came to rated R comedies. She would always monitor them first. So I would see some. If it was just profanity, it was cool. But if it was like mixed in with some nudity, she wouldn't let me watch it till I was proper age. My mom was kind of strict like that. But when it came to action movies, she didn't care. Like, 'cause it was just action, blowing up, killing type stuff. I'm a boy, whatever. That was what I was into. So this movie feels so much, though it's a current movie, it feels like a toss back or a throwback to those movies I grew up with. For some people, and I talk about this a lot here on the show, is that, and what I recognize, like, it's changing, like, we have so many people because of cartoons, the TV shows, the movies, that it's so many different generations. So you've heard me mention in other film reviews, like when I said certain parts of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, like with Small Groot, I wasn't the target audience for that. The little kids went crazy for that. I wasn't the target audience. I kind of feel like the over dramatics of the action and the story just lent itself to what I grew up on, and it made me very nostalgic, and it just hit that a certain sweet spot for me in that way, that it was unabashedly just going to be an over the top epic kind of grandiose action movie, and everybody took it seriously. Everybody put their all in it, and it just made me love it more. Some people didn't like that about it, but it was what I grew up on, and it was a good homage to that done well. It was just, I thought it was just a very fun movie, and I thought it was definitely a very huge tonal shift for the DC films. And I don't need to see every film like that, but it works for Aquaman. For sure. So, and I hope James Wan comes back to do the sequel. For sure, because he had his pick of the lot, I heard, from any DC project he wanted to do. He specifically wanted to do Aquaman, and I can't really see anyone else doing, like if they do a trilogy, I wouldn't want to see anybody else directing it. I think I want to see what his vision is for this character over a trilogy of movies. And with the success of this, I hope they go ahead and wrap him up ASAP to start working on the sequel, because I want to see more from this world. And they did a great thing by kind of scaling back from trying to connect the bigger DCEU or whatever the heck they're calling it now, and just focused on making a good origin film. We got a brief glimpse of him, in Batman v Superman, then again in Justice League. We got more of him, and now we get his origin story. They kind of did it a little backwards, but they made it work. They weaved it in and really made it work, and gave you a chance to really connect with Momoa's Aquaman character, and he had a fully realized arc, and he's not the same Arthur that we start the beginning of the movie with at the end, and I really like that, and I want to see that continue. I felt like one thing I didn't like, I kind of felt like Patrick Wilson, to me, killed it as Orm. I can't say enough about the casting of the movie. I felt like everybody was good in their roles and were committed and did good work. I really liked him as Orm and Ocean Master. Ocean Master always kind of came off. I started reading the New 52 Aquaman. I read like the first story arc, and I was just looking and getting ready for this episode, and I'm going to do a recommended reads episode for the YouTube channel. And so I was trying to do research on what mainly this movie was based on. We find out that it's mainly based on Jeff Johns' run on Aquaman from the New 52. So I realized I bought most of the run, and even after the movie came out, they had just dropped the Jeff Johns, Aquaman by Jeff Johns omnibus that really covers his New 52 run, which is like, I think the first 25 or so issues of Aquaman. So I was looking back and I was like, because since I get stuff digitally, they don't have a version of the omnibus out digitally, but I went back to look because I was buying everything New 52 digitally at the time. So I have most of those issues, and I want to, now I'm inspired based upon the movie and know a lot of what was pulled in the inspiration for the movie came specifically from Jeff Johns' run on the book. So I want to finish reading it. Like I said, I think I read the first arc, the first like 6 issues, but I went back and looked. I have like issue 7 through like 20. So I just need to get a handful of issues to finish out his run. So I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to start reading and pick up the rest as I go along the way to definitely read it. But I have to recommend that because, they spoke about it in interviews and stuff, that was the main inspiration of certain things. And the certain things I read from the first story arc, I could pull and be like, okay, I remember this from that run specifically. So that's really cool that they leaned into that so heavily. But I felt like with Orm, and especially with Wilson playing him, they could have set him up in this movie and really had his confrontation with Arthur be like the whole second movie. I dig the dude that was playing Black Manta, and I felt like he got shortchanged in the movie. I wanted to, like, they could have had it be, this first movie be all about Black Manta, setting up Orm, like, still have him manipulating or working with Black Manta like they kind of did. And then we don't get the full reveal of him or him fully coming out as the big bad until like the end credits of this movie, setting him up for the next movie. But I guess you needed to do that whole succession story of him being king or him trying to be king and all that kind of stuff. But I do like what I saw in the end credit scene where they're setting up that Black Manta definitely is going to be a bigger part in the second movie, because I felt like he was kind of wasted in this movie. But again, they did some world building with him, and then with the after credit scene, we saw that he survived and saw he got linked up with that doctor guy. So he's definitely going to be a presence in the second movie for sure, which I like about that. What else can I say about the movie? I just think it was really great performances. I want to see more. It has me hungry for more. And here's the thing, and we've talked about this. You heard us on Spinner Rack Bros, where me and Heath talked about our skepticism of what DC films were going to do. I had little to low to no expectations going into this movie because some people were wowed by the trailers. I wasn't. I was kind of indifferent. Nothing ever struck me to suck me in to be like, I'm so hyped to see this movie. Even the day I went to go see the movie, I was like, nah, I need to go see it. I need to go see it because I'm curious, and I go see them all, and you know, I'm going to do a review on it, so it's content, whatever. And like, as soon as the movie just started, the colors it just sucked me in. Like, it was weird, you know. It was like the trailers weren't able to do that, but once the movie started going, I got pulled right in. And it was so funny too because, you know, it was during the holidays, and it was so many movies that were out because I think in a week I saw like 4 different movies in like a 7-day period. I saw Into the Spider-Verse, did that review. Then I think the following weekend, I think I went Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday. So like we did, I like saw all the holiday movies. So I saw Into the Spider-Verse, I saw Bumblebee. I saw Bumblebee and Aquaman back to back. Me and my wife did a double feature. So I think we saw Bumblebee first, then like literally we timed it perfectly. So as soon as Bumblebee finished, and we went over to the next theater, we had the movie Aquaman. The credits were just starting to start on Aquaman, so like caught. Both movies like lined up perfectly, got in and got out. And then I think the next day we went to go see like Mary Poppins Returns because my wife wanted to see that. So I like saw a lot of movies in that you know, that time frame. And it just, you know, so I thought maybe like I was coming off of Bumblebee. We're going to talk about that next episode, my thoughts on Bumblebee. And, you know, so I was like, dang, you know, I hope I can stay up during this movie. Is this going to be so boring? And it was like, it just grabbed me by the throat right away and was like, get over here. And I was just and I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I always took Ocean Master as a kind of corny character. I really dug Patrick Wilson as Ocean Master. I want to see more. I'm curious of where, you know, in a sequel where they go with his character. Nicole Kidman, which for some reason for the longest time, just as an actress, I always see her in interviews and think she's the coolest person. But like a lot of times her movies or her vibe in a movie, I never really dig. But I really liked her in the role as Arthur's mom. I really did, which is crazy, you know. But it's like weird. I have a weird thing with certain actors. Like for the longest time as a kid, growing up as a kid, I did not like Clint Eastwood for some reason. Then as he got older, maybe in the mid-'80s as a kid, I know this is a tangent, just bear with me. It's for entertainment purposes. And it was like he did the movie Pale Rider. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was kind of like his Unforgiven before Unforgiven that he did like in the mid-'80s. And I was visiting family out in California, went to the movie theater and saw it. And then I saw that movie and I just loved it. And I fell in love with Clint Eastwood. And like pretty much darn near every movie Clint Eastwood did from that point on till this day, I've pretty much seen like 95% of any movie that he stars in, and I love him as an actor. And I've even went back and started watching his older stuff, but for some reason, I just as when like he was in his heyday when I was a real young kid, and I love action movies, but I couldn't stand him. I guess like the whole mole thing and Make My Day, like it would come out. It was always weird to me, and I couldn't get into it. But I was like, he's such a good actor. But it was just like when he did one movie, and my whole perception of him changed. And I could never pinpoint why I disliked him. He never did anything to me, but it was just, it's weird like that. Maybe we all experience certain things like that, personally, or like with media with certain, like I can, you know, for me, perfect example of a movie example of this is that I'll never forget The Dark Knight. When that came out, I went with 2 friends. And it was like the movie theater was packed. It was just a horrible experience. And I did not like that movie based on the atmosphere that I was around. It just put me in an ill mood. And I never, even and I think I talked about it when I did the review, I never liked that movie as much as other people. It took me years. I would rewatch it to feel like, okay, am I going to feel differently about it? The stigma from that first bad experience lingered for so long. It took like 5 years after that movie came out to watch it and to be like, okay, now I can see the merits in this movie. I still don't think it's the best comic book movie ever made, like some people do. I think it's a darn good movie, but I don't think it's the best ever made. But it was just, I just said my mind was still locked in on those negative experiences, and I couldn't let them go till quite some time later. And, so things happen like that. It's no right or wrong, answer, but I really dug her in the role. Like I said, I liked everybody from top to bottom. Overall score for the movie, just looking at it as a whole, as a body of work, I give it an 8.25 out of 10. And then it made me look at my rankings for the DCEU films at this point. So we have, with Aquaman, we have 6 movies now. So from worst to first, I rank them as such. Number 6 for me is Suicide Squad. Number 5 for me is Justice League. Number 4 is Wonder Woman. Number 3 for me is Aquaman. Number 2 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition, the Ultimate Cut. I got to be specific about that because we all know how I feel about the theatrical cut. And last but not least, Man of Steel. Some people believe Wonder Woman is still better than Aquaman. Here's my thing about Aquaman, where it edges out Wonder Woman for me. I didn't like the ending of Wonder Woman. It was okay. I felt like it didn't stick the landing. It was kind of messy at the end. And I felt like for me, Aquaman stuck the ending extremely well. So based upon that, I have to give it the slight edge over Wonder Woman. But I'm still super stoked for Wonder Woman 1984. And this has me even more so optimistic for Shazam that's coming out, comes out beginning of April. So we're just under 4 months before that drops, or three months, because we're in January, so 3 months. And I'm very optimistic about that. And that's one of my, like I said a couple of episodes ago, that is one of the movies I'm actually highly anticipating is Shazam. Because it just looks like they know what it is, the direction they're going with it. It has the touch of comedy, action, and the special effects look pretty solid. Seem like they're casting the right people that care about what they're doing, and it comes across in the footage that we've seen. And that is so important. We don't have people just like cashing it in, just like trying to just punch the clock to get a paycheck, that they actually care about their performances and what they're doing. And I think that's what makes, for me personally, that's what makes Aquaman work. Everyone took their role seriously and wanted to give their best performance, no matter how melodramatic, over the top, operatic, or silly it might be. They did their best with it, and it shows and it works. But that's all I have. Like I said, Aquaman is just a fun movie. I can't wait to get this on home video so I can watch it over and over again. This would be one of the DC films, movies that I actually would rewatch again and again. I don't know. I know I've watched Wonder Woman a few times. I think that's it. I think I buy them, but I don't watch them again. I don't think I've watched Justice League since it came out. I bought it, but I don't think I've watched it. I know my wife has. It's so funny. Like, your significant other picks up stuff from you, and it's like, I don't think my wife read comics. I don't think she ever read comics. She's read comics since we've been together, and we definitely have watched the movies together. Well, we've been together, we just had our 8-year anniversary back in July, so we've been together for a good while during, most of the MCU experience. And we go to every movie in the whole 9, and she's become such a movie head. And it's like, I'll be in the office sometime working. I'll be like, "What you doing, babe?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm watching Justice League," or "I'm watching Winter Soldier." And I was like, what did I do to this woman? She watched this stuff like that when we started. And she'd be so into it. And she'll have notes and be asking me questions and stuff. It's hilarious. It's like, wow, how did we get here? But it's awesome. So I just think this was really fun. Had a good time with it. I'm going to do a recommended reads episode on the YouTube channel where I talk about different Aquaman stories that if you have seen the movie and I want to do more of this. with the movies that are coming out this year. I'm going to do a recommended reads episode primarily on YouTube, because I get a lot of questions from people on YouTube, and I get some questions from you guys that are starting to join and go on the Facebook group about like what because different people have their different experiences. Some listeners out there have stepped away from comics for 10, 20 years and they're just getting back in. And some of you guys are just new in general because you're coming in from the TV shows and movies. So I wanted to do something more to be a guide, to be like, hey, if you saw this and you want to know where to start to read, here are some of the big and best storylines or trades or omnibuses for you to pick up. To, if you're now interested in a character, here's where you go. So that was my thought behind it, to give kind of a guide to transition you from just being a movie fan of the character, and if that interest is there, I can lead you into the actual work that it inspired the films and the television show. So that's what I'm going to start doing. So you guys will know as soon as I have that stuff up and out. So I'm working on it now. So it's going to be one for, Shazam, Captain Marvel, all of this movies coming out. I'm going to be doing these type of episodes. So hopefully, if you guys think it's a good idea, just let me know. If it's any other particular characters or whatever that you would like to see me do this on, definitely just reach out to me. You can always email me at comicbooksavant@gmail.com and let me know. And I can go ahead and get everything in the works to set that up, to get those episodes out. Again, I want this platform to be a resource, to you, to help you in your journey with comics. So if any way I can do that to help you, I am willing to do that. This is what this is all about, and this is what I'm aiming to do. With all that being said, I have talked to you enough for today. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you soon. Again, hit me up on Twitter, on Instagram at Comic Book Savant. Again, check out the website, comicbooksavant.com. If you're considering becoming a Patreon, please consider being a Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to the Comic Book Savant extra episodes. This whole other weekly podcast I do, so you get 4 more extra episodes of me a week. And there's other different bonuses and stuff built in depending on the tier, but for just as little as $1 a month, you get the Comic Book Savant extra feed thrown in there, and other little perks like you get early access to certain episodes before they come out, little things like that I have built in there. And I got some other stuff coming for different incentives and rewards. So if you consider it, just go to Patreon, patreon.com/Comic Book Savant. Check out the options. And like I said in the last episode, I don't want all your money, but I do need a little bit of it. So can I have some change, please? I didn't do my Tiny Tim as well this episode. I apologize. I think I'm embarrassed now. Yep, embarrassed. I'm going to go ahead and go now. So I will see you guys next week for another episode. You guys take care, and I will see you soon. Later.